everybody, welcome to SVL Free News for Friday, November the 16th. I'm down here at the Iredell Arts Council, and this is actually a preview for a show we're going to be doing on Monday. There's an artist that Tina Alberni just put up her show here. You can come out to the Iredell Arts Council and see all about that. I'll talk more about that later. First, let's thank our sponsors: Mitchell College, Randy Marion, Piedmont Healthcare, Blue Harbor Bank, Fast Fields, Key to Escape, The Escape Room, Statesville Family YMCA, and Crossroads Cycling. Okay, so on today's show, we're going to be interviewing Natalie and Jeff Storment with Power Cross Ministries. They're getting ready for their big fundraiser on Tuesday. It's pies for presents, and you can get your pie, order your pie, homemade pie for Thanksgiving at pies@powercross.org. And they'll give you an order form to do that. It's a great way to support this local organization that's reaching out to so many young men here in Iredell County, and they do a fabulous job, and we'll hear more with Mike Furman about that. And like I said, on Monday I'll be running the interview with Tina Alberni and her exhibit down here at Iredell Arts Council. So let's take a listen to Mike Furman and with Natalie and Jeff Storment.
Thanks, Brian. I'm here this evening at Power Cross Ministries with Jeff and Natalie Storment. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Now, I want to spend some time this evening talking with you about the great work you're doing here, all the lives you're changing, and how people in the community can get involved and help with the work that you're doing. So let's start with just a little history. You're in your 13th year. Tell us a little bit about the beginnings and the idea behind the ministry.
We just saw a need in our community for support, male support for young men mainly. I was coaching a team and just drove over to a house and saw a situation that I knew I didn't really understand, and it wasn't something I grew up in. So I thought, there's a need for father figures in homes in our area, and so we tried to offer a family atmosphere for young men, bringing them into our home. And fast forward 13 years, and here we are.
And how many boys are you serving right now?
We have about 250 in our Statesville location. We have a little over 80 in our Salisbury location.
That's incredible. So almost 350 lives you're touching, and I'm sure there's a ripple effect in those families. So give us an idea of what an average day is here at Power Cross.
So an average day during the school year, we provide transportation for most of our kids to get here. So we either pick them up from their homes or from their schools, depending on their age. If they're middle school, we'll pick them up there because they're responsible enough to remember the schedule. Mm-hmm. When they get here, they're provided a snack. So same thing you might provide for your kids, peanut butter sandwich or apples or milk. And then they'll have academic development time where they can go work with tutors that are volunteers primarily in our study hall, doing homework or having remediation type work for their academics. They'll have some sort of discipleship or Bible study time while they're here to help them grow spiritually. And they'll have some sort of athletic development or a game. So it's kind of a circuit of academics, being fed, being nourished spiritually, and athletically being able to develop. So they have that every day they're here, which is typically 5 to 6 days a week. Through the school year, through the summer of school being out, it's the same, except it's a longer day. So we'll feed them lunch and dinner and tend to try and really provide a lot of programming for them when they would have free time to get in trouble.
And that's really the same way the first day Power Cross started. We picked the kids up at school, they came over to the house, we gave them a snack. Then they wanted to go play. We told them they had to do their homework first, just like our son did. Did the homework, and then I took them to play some football. After we played a little football, we came back home. Natalie had another meal for us. We sat down and ate as a family that night, and then I taught the worst 5-minute Bible study that's ever been taught in the history of Iredell County, because I didn't know the Bible very well then. And after we taught the Bible study, we drove them home, and it's pretty much the same thing today.
Kind of grow from there. And as a sports ministry, I know you have football, basketball, wrestling, and baseball. Mm-hmm. Is that right? And what age do the boys start coming in?
We get them at 6 years old. That's when we'll start them. We've been known to take a 5-year-old brother if he could move pretty quick. Mm-hmm. We've taken a couple 5-year-olds. Don't take many. And our oldest kids are actually juniors in college right now. When they get done with football season, let's say they come back. A lot of them come to work for us. Mm-hmm. But there are still needs there. They still need athletic weightlifting training, speed and agility training. They still need some kids come back. They're a little bit behind in classes. We'll get them a couple classes at Mitchell for the summer and provide them tutors there. And then the protein shakes and food portion of the ministry is really poured into every one of those boys when they come in, because they're used to being on their scholarship program in college where they're eating 4 to 5 times a day, and they come back and they don't always have that option. So the Lord provides that, and we try to make sure they get that. And then of course our discipleship is something that's happening with those boys on a daily basis. I spoke with a young man this morning at Bridgewater College and spent about 15 minutes on the phone with him, discipling him this morning.
So it must be, I know it's rewarding to do what you do personally, but then to see boys who started at 6 or 7 years old come back in the summer, I mean, they're the real role models for the kids going through the program today. And tell us about your success in getting students to college, whether it's for sports or just to go to college.
So on the wall when you come in is our alumni wall here in Statesville. There's also one up in Salisbury, and that is the pictures of the young men that you're referring to that were kind of the starter kids for this ministry.
The guinea pigs.
Yes, yeah, we didn't have near as much, programming available for those kids, and they were able to be successful through solid work ethic and a solid foundation. So we do anticipate our numbers to continue to improve, but right now we have a 100% graduation rate from high school for any kid that's in our program for at least 2 years. We're a pretty structured program, so it's not for everybody. It's open to anyone, but it's not often that everyone that comes through the door is going to want to stay, because we're pretty strenuous in programming. For college, the dropout rate nationally for African American men is about 80%. A lot of that is because they're there on athletic scholarship and they don't have a lot of resources to help them stay in school. For us right now, about 75% of our kids that have gone on to college on scholarship are still there. So we're pretty much at double the national average for both of those stats. So we're very proud of that. And we, our first generation of kids that we will have had since they were 6 years old all the way through the program is sophomores in high school right now. So we're excited to see those kids and how successful they are in a couple of years when it comes time for signing day and graduation day.
Sure, and I recognize some of the names at Statesville High School right now that you read about on the football team. A lot of those are power cross kids. And
we've got a very strong class over there right now.
Let's talk about what it takes to keep this rolling year after year. As you've grown the program, you've expanded into your facilities. You mentioned you're in Salisbury now. What's your budget for a year, and what's the source of that money?
Well, when we started out, Natalie and I were called into this ministry by the Lord, and we both had businesses. And I actually worked for a company as a Southeast Regional Manager, and we both, the Lord told both of us to just quit, stop that, and start doing this. I gave in quicker than she did. I always like to point that out. It took her another year to have the faith to step out. But to kind of get back on point, the first couple years, Natalie and I funded it out of our own savings account. And when that dwindled away and was gone, then we figured out that the Lord wanted us to start looking to others for help. Others help us in many ways. Financially, donations, they help us. Volunteering is a big part down here. The hours that go into volunteering with these kids and coaching and tutoring and cooking and just everything, we couldn't afford to do it. So we really can't give you a budget, because if we gave you our budget, it wouldn't really reflect on what the Lord's actually spending down here a year for us, because there's so many people pouring into these kids. We have tutors that have been here. How long have our longest tutors been here?
I'd say Carol has volunteered for 8 years probably.
So we have a lady that's volunteered 8 years, sometimes 3-4 days a week. And, she's, you can't really put a dollar figure on that. So we need all the financial support we can get, and we need all the volunteers we can get. And then we have people that cook meals for us all the time. So what do we average? Probably one a week?
What?
Meals provided, donated?
No, maybe one every 3 weeks.
Okay. So every couple of weeks we have a meal donated, and that really cuts into the budget numbers also. So all kinds of pieces of community coming together to make all this possible.
We can kind of estimate that our average is about $1,500 a kid per year, so a little over $100 a month. And that provides all their meals, all their transportation, all their athletic development, all their tutoring. So it's a pretty good deal for what they get out of it. For us, the scholarships on our wall out there equal over $8 million. So that's our first 2.5 classes. So it's been a good investment because we didn't have that much of a budget for the first 15 years. I don't even know if we've hit $8 million.
We haven't hit $8 million
in our total budget for our ministry. So it's been a good return, but it's a lot like it is with your kids. Our kids that are in first grade don't need quite as much support as our kids that are in high school that need recruiting trips. So the cost per child really varies based on how old they are a lot.
It's like a 6-year-old is just going to need maybe a sport or two of funding. A college kid that's going on college visits, we could spend $1,000 on a weekend with him if we got to fly somewhere. So it's different per kid, but our average, like Natalie said, it's $1,500 per student. Now, your son's probably played some travel soccer, if I were guessing, right? So what one travel season costs. We're not talking about just what the coach says you got to pay me to play on the team. We're talking about the food to and from. We're talking about the transportation to and from. Insurance and coaching. And equipment. If kid goes from plastic spikes one weekend to metal spikes the next weekend, fields are different. Most time mom doesn't have the funding to pay for that if she's a single parent, so we pick up a lot of that. So we can't really give you this is exactly what it costs, because every year Power Cross has been in existence, we've grown.
Right.
God has blessed us with a growing ministry, and the budget's grown every year.
And you've covered it.
He's covered it. He's covered it.
So if people wanted to support the work that you're doing, what is the best way?
Get online, go to powercross.org, click the Donate Now button, and send us some money. And it's going to go straight into these kids. A second way that they can do it is they can mail a check to our facility here. And the third way is our fundraisers that are going on throughout the year.
And I know the big one you have coming up is the Pie for Presents. This is third year?
This will be our third year doing Pies for Presents. Yep, we started the event 3 years ago because we have a very large Christmas party for all of our kids and their families. And so at that event at the Civic Center, we'll serve around 650 people dinner. And it's a good full Christmas dinner. It's turkey and ham and all the good stuff, and we provide a gift, at least one, but usually more than that, for every child that's there. So not just the boys of Power Cross, but also their siblings or their cousins or whoever else comes. And we have an evangelist come and share the message of Christ with everyone who's there. So it's a big event for us, but it's also a costly event. So we started this fundraiser as a way to offset that event for us each year. So it's literally you're buying a pie to help buy a present for a child within our community that maybe wouldn't have as great of a Christmas without it.
And so you pre-order the pies, and can you do that through the website as well?
You can do that through the website, or you can email. There's an email called pies@powercross.org. You can send it wherever you would like, or you can call the office here, look at our Facebook page, look at our website. There's links for both availabilities to order there.
Or we would challenge you just to come on in, see what God's doing down here like you did today, Mike, and fill out an order form, right?
Right. Well, I feel like I've personally helped sustain the pie drive every year. And
all the pies are made in-house, clean. I'm going to let Natalie talk about that, but by our volunteers.
So we have 8 different churches in Statesville that allow us to go in their kitchens with baking teams, and they're literally all homemade. Pound cakes are homemade, the pies are homemade, everything on there has a group of about 30 women who will just work their little fingers to death on Monday so that there can be fresh pie for Thanksgiving for everybody.
Okay, well I can attest the pies are great. I'm going from I think 3 pies to 4 pies this year. So I would challenge everyone to get at least 4 pies.
That would be great.
Well, thank you.
What's the last day to order those?
So pre-orders, your last day is this Friday. If you don't pre-order, we can make no guarantees, but you can just come in and shop starting at noon on Tuesday. That's November 20th, so 2 days before Thanksgiving. But if you
we
can
sell out
pre-order,
every year.
We have sold out
Right.
both years, so.
We'll put the flyer up on the show and help promote it. And I want to thank you both for all the work you're doing in the community, and also your staff and volunteers and everybody that makes this happen. And it's really transformative, I think. And as a community, we won't really know the great work you've done for maybe 10 years or 15 more years when you see the lives you've changed and the generational impact. So thank you both.
Well,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you guys. Appreciate it.
Okay, so there you have it. A good interview with Natalie and Jeff Storment and the organization that they founded here in Statesville, Power Cross Ministries. And if you want to reach out, they're looking for volunteers and donations. Any way you can help out with this for all the good work they do here in Iredell County. And also, come out to Iredell Arts Council. You can come out now to see the exhibit. You also can purchase some of the paintings from Tina Alberni, and she's a fabulous artist, and I think you'll be very inspired if you come down here. And also say hello to Rogelio Calvo and thank him for all the work he does. And while you're at it, go to SVLfreenews.com and sign up for your email edition, which comes out every morning at 5 a.m. So you folks have a good weekend, and we'll see you on Monday.